ego development. It has to do with how the self-identity, the self-identification evolves. And this has been pioneered by three groundbreaking women researchers. Jane Löwinger since the 1950s laid the groundwork. Susanne Cook-Reuter and more recently Terry O'Fallon have been in 3 generations working on this theory that has been verified hundreds and hundreds of times. And again, we have 5 different stages of meaning making, orders of consciousness, perspective taking. These are ways that this is explained. And in the first, the ego develops. Well, first there is no ego, there is no self. When we are born, we don't even know that this hand belongs to us, right? What we see in the mirror, we are basically our reactions. But then we transcend that and we start to have our reactions. Our subject becomes something else, becomes a self of myself that has reactions. And it's always a subject-object transition, transcending and including to a higher level. Now, the second person perspective, once we have the self, is to realize that we are embedded in a social construction. And here, the theory of mind lives on the second person perspective. And the leading question in the 1970s of theory of mind, the pioneering question is, if chimpanzees have a theory of mind? And here we start to realize, for example, as a child, that yes, my mom also has different motivations, my friend, and then I actually have the trade of the toy versus the friendship. And these theory of minds, they can go incredibly deep. For example, it has been shown that large language models, modern artificial intelligence, can go to 6 orders of inferences of theory of minds, but that's all in second person perspective. Entire societies are built on these second person perspectives. So this is basically a generalization of traditional theory of mind research. Now the third person perspective transcends and includes even that. And literally, you take a third-person observer, kind of like a neutral scientific observer in a social scientist perspective on what's happening of me and a society and different members of society, all with different ambitions and so forth. And you, as the third-person observer, look at what's going on here as the third-person scientific observer. Now, in fourth-person perspective, you realize there is no neutral observer. You yourself are part of that, and the meaning-making mind is part of that, and the context from which you observe reality has much to do with that. So you become the context that you can set in order to perceive very different realities. That's called the pluralist stage that happens in fourth-person perspective. And fifth-person perspective, it's called construct awareness. You realize that even the context is made up. Everything is just construct, and you transcend then to a more universal stage. So you can think about this as also an analogy to Gödel's incompleteness, more like Tarski's solution, multi-level solution to Gödel's incompleteness, where you have an incompleteness on one stage, and each one of these transitions are basically earth-shattering events, be it the terrible twos, be it the rebellious teenager years, the separation then from the normal social construct, from the family, becoming an adult, a midlife crisis. So these are earth-shattering events. Reality does not make sense anymore, and you have to transcend and include it, patching up some incompleteness, whereas other incompleteness is never necessarily emerging on a higher level perspective.